right, so this is our live from ProgPower 2 weeks ago episode. My guests are Kyle and Roderick Rose. They are my good longtime ProgPower friends and metal enthusiasts. So I flew out to Atlanta on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and if you don't know me, 9 a.m. is a really awkward time because I'm usually going to bed at about 4 or sometimes 5 in the morning. So I figured, I'd pretty much just stay up. I was up for a good 48 hours, I guess, and then I got some sleep, but then this was recorded the next day, so I was still kind of massively behind. So I think I chugged a Red Bull before we recorded, and the combination of sleep deprivation and Red Bull is why it sounds like I invited everyone over to record a podcast and then, didn't share my meth with anybody. So if I sound a little cracked out or whatever. But we still had a lovely conversation, and you will learn many things you might not know about the ProgPower Festival unless you go to it, in which case you might already know. Because this was recorded on Thursday night of the Wednesday to Saturday period that is the ProgPower Festival, we were not able to discuss the actual Friday-Saturday ProgPower main event performances, but there will be another episode coming where I go over some of the highlights of that with Rich and Eric back in New York, so that'll be coming as well. But for now, if you want to hear about the history of ProgPower and sort of how we see metal through the ProgPower lens, then this is what you get. Okay, so ProgPower started in 2001?
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah, 2001 in, I think, February in Chicago. And I heard about it, and I wanted to go. I heard about it on the Symphony X mailing list, The Edge of Forever. And but it was 21 and up. And I was not 21. I was 20 and a half. And
yeah,
so I emailed. But it was like Symphony X. I wasn't even into Pain and Salvation, but I still knew they were like kind of going to be a deal. So, but Symphony X was playing, and I think Evergrey might have played the first one too, or somebody. I don't know. It was a good lineup. So I was in Milwaukee or Madison. So I was, regionally close. So I was trying to go, but they were like, nope, sorry. I was like, is there anything I can do? Can I like sign a thing saying I won't drink? Like I didn't start drinking until I was like 22, so I had no interest in anything other than seeing metal bands. But yeah, they were like, no.
And that was because of J.J. Kelly's venue.
Right. So then 6 months later, they do the second one in Atlanta. I'm 21 now, and so I'm like, I'm going, and they're like, and it's all ages, it doesn't matter, come. Or it might have been 18 up, whatever. But either way, I was like, oh, yeah. So anyway.
Unlike me, you actually knew about the first ProgPower and would have gone.
Yes.
Had it not been for the age restriction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Had your parents not had sex 6 months earlier.
Yes. So, what was the first one you went to?
ProgPower 2.
Okay, so you were at 2. So 2 was really, really awesome. It was, we don't have to be 100% accurate on the who played or whatever. So I don't want to take the time to look up like every lineup and stuff.
Well, I can it's all on one Wikipedia page, so I can just pull it up.
Okay, well, you can do that if you feel like it.
We'll do the best we can.
I like a loose format on the podcast. I like to say, like I may be wrong about this. You can feel free to correct me, and I'll say you were right on another podcast.
Yeah, and I'll just put it this way, that I can never remember who played in any particular year without looking at the lineup, except if it was like last year.
Yeah, I used to have a really clear memory the first few years, but now it's more like, I think I can break down like the first 3 or 4 I went to, at least like the highlights. So like...
That's more or less how I feel too.
Yeah. So,
everything else blends together.
Yeah, ProgPower 2 was a ridiculous lineup though. The first one I went to was... because even the openers were like 0 hour, right? So the opener just meant like, a band that's too technical to like
have a huge audience. Oh well, they
So,
just go first, you know. So
that
it was
was
like,
actually ProgPower 3.
really?
Yeah.
I thought Zero Hour opened the second one. Who opened somebody good opened even the second one.
So
Oh, great. Now there's
Superior,
an actual
Bounce
list.
Power.
Oh,
yeah.
Superior.
Yeah.
Oh man, the first one. Okay, I'm gonna read all these. Okay, so Superior, Balance of Power, which was the last time I listened to one of Lance King's bands. Nightingale, which is Dan Swano, who's like known for Swedish death metal stuff. Spiral Architect. That's what I'm thinking of. Because Zero Hour was the Spiral Architect of number 3.
Right.
They filled the super crazy, and then there were no other bands like that, so it never happened again.
Yeah, well, the problem is that the amphitheater was empty for both bands, pretty much.
Right, but that wasn't because of them. There was no like even now, like even if there's moderate interest in the first band, so many people are so into the fest that there's still enough people there. Like I've seen opening bands be like, "You guys all wanted to hear us," and some people are like, "Yeah, sure, if you say so."
Well, I mean, but you know,
I do now.
I also want to be clear that prog metal fans, by and large, have bad taste. They tend to like the same crappy sounding bands and be like, oh my god, it's another Dream Theater clone.
Well, and in a weird way, I was almost going the opposite way, which is in a weird way, it's almost to their credit that like prog metal fans are interested enough to like they will check out every band that's on the lineup. They're like, I'm going to see this band, but I figured, I'll check out these other bands too. And it's kind of the same stuff, whatever. I mean, all of it now. So by the time they get here, they might even be into the first band. They might be like, I want to see them now because I listened to them. And because the festival is now bigger than most of the bands that play it, who
That's
haven't
probably
already
right,
been playing
yeah.
it for like 10 years or whatever. So, right, which is kind of the thing we'll come to eventually, which is the significance and the crazy arc of the festival. Because so the original thing, again, I'm gonna pretend like nobody listening has heard of ProgPower. The main thing when it started was that the biggest bands playing were like Symphony X, which people hadn't really still heard of much, but people into progressive metal who were like fans of Dream Theater or whatever, a lot of them who were like, well, I need more of this and I can't find it. Well, they end up with Symphony X and stuff like that. And so most of the bands, unless you like went to their hometown, you couldn't see them because even if they played shows, they didn't, they weren't on any big tours or anything. And then a lot of them were European bands, first time playing in the States. And so there's a lot of exclusives. And they were really good exclusives, and some of them were exclusives that people have been waiting for like decades to see, right? Like Gamma Ray and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's
right.
ProgPower 3 was kind of the where I feel like the festival arrived because they got a bunch of huge bands that I didn't think anybody expected Glenn to be able to get.
Yeah, that's true. He did really. That's the thing. It's like the ones that were biggest for me weren't necessarily the biggest bands, but they were big the first year when it was small. But to me, they're still the biggest bands just musically. Like Pain of Salvation and Symphony X and Evergrey and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Evergrey. People referred to Evergrey as Glenn's house band for years. Remember?
Yeah.
And that was so. I mean, Evergrey was kind of like in the beginning, Glenn was sort of feeding them. Promotional material, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like they largely like so that's the next step, right? The next thing that happened is a bunch of the bands who playing ProgPower started to be able to do small tours and stuff when they came over, and so a lot of them started, which is the other weird. It's a positive thing, but like it's one of the things I complain about when I'm like, I'm not excited enough about ProgPower. It's because they all came to New York. Like, right. I moved to the place where everybody plays, and now I ain't got too many shows to go to.
Yeah, well, I mean, 15 years ago, none of these bands even played New York, right? They
right.
didn't play anywhere in the U.S., and that was what ProgPower, what originally made ProgPower so big, was it was the only place you could see some of these bands in the U.S. And then it went sort of through that lull in the middle part of its lifetime after... I mean, I'm sort of guessing here, but it was after the novelty of, hey, all these bands are now playing the U.S. because they're now
actually touring.
Right, they're actually touring.
So ProgPower became a victim of its own success in a way.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the thing now is that Glenn still goes for the exclusive angle, but...
Right. But it's a different type of exclusive now.
Right.
It's not just the band, because the band's tour.
Right.
It's
he's going for albums.
This album in its entirety.
Or for him.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of Joe X's comment about the Harvest Butt Boy sale in the after the video announcement. So on Saturday when they open up the vendor room, they used to have the vendor sale specifically for next year's bands.
Right.
There'd be like a huge line out the door. It's like, awesome, I get to buy like the latest album from Hellker.
Yeah, because
I'd like to point out that you're actually one of those butt boys too, because you would wait in line to buy one of those CDs.
Well,
as I recall.
I know.
But you were just kind of insulting it. And
I was repeating what Joe X said.
Rod, I thought you said you listened to this podcast. The thing is, the first few years I was into the same thing, and because I would be like, okay, well, I know these bands and I'm excited about them. There's a couple I don't know. I'll pick up some CDs from them. Or if I was being more cautious, I would be like, oh, I just saw that band. Now I'm going to go buy their CD. But now it's 2015, so I'm like, that's cool. I'll go see if I like that band by listening to them. And then if I want to buy it, I will purchase it digitally. Yeah. And I don't have to go to that other room and wait in lines and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't bought a CD in the vendor room for several years now.
Yeah.
I just, what's the point? Like, I can listen to most of what I want to listen to on Spotify, and if it's not there, I can probably find it on YouTube. And then if I decide I really want to own it and want to rip it in FLAC, right, I can go buy the CD, but otherwise...
Yeah. Or if it's a independent band, you might be able to go to Bandcamp and just buy the FLAC version.
That's true.
That is the future.
So can I just
yes,
add?
Absolutely.
Along this theme here, for many years, ProgPower was more or less the only way that I was introduced to new bands. I frequent one of the boards, PMX, which is the one that Kyle runs, and I would get some new stuff there. But honestly, I was like a true blue 100% Harvest butt boy myself.
Oh yeah, me too.
I just like learning all my new stuff through what he had in the video announcement.
Yeah, I didn't mean it really as a term of derision. I'm sure Joe did, right? I mean it as a term of affection, right?
Yep.
Glenn Harveston, I love you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so right. So I was concerned about doing a podcast about this festival because, again, that's the reason I'm no longer on the ProgPower forum. Is that's it's become very insular. That's where the core of the basically you do not speak ill of the festival on that forum. It used to be about it used to just be everybody arguing. I think that's what happens. People argued about the bands and then they're like, less arguing, more worshiping our festival and but although now it's weird because I went on there the other day to look at some update on the festival and there's still some threads and people kind of talk about stuff, but almost every post is a YouTube video. It's usually one sentence and then just a YouTube video of a song.
Check out this band or something.
Yeah. And then a bunch of people will respond, but usually just oh, kick ass. And it's that was worth writing on the internet, but then 3 pages of it, or oh, no, it's the last one. Oh, it's the same stuff.
I really think that forum needs a content filter where you could say, just show me the messages that have interesting original content.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're there anymore is the thing. That's why I posted something on Facebook about it where I was I just went to the forum and I was like, do people also half of them are from promoters who are somehow promoters or management. So many people who are directly involved and connected to the festival because they manage bands or they promote bands or whatever. And so there's so much promotion now, and although I guess there's probably an off-topic forum member, but I want to be on topic right? I want to talk about music, guys.
The forum exists to promote the festival, right?
Well,
it's not a free speech zone like PMX.
No, but it's a forum. It exists to
it's
discuss.
A forum in name only. It's a forum in name only.
But it exists on a site of other, but even
Ultimate Metal,
right? Ultimate Metal. But here's the thing: so there's official band forums and stuff on Ultimate Metal, and I've been to some. For a while I was on the Nevermore forum. When I was in Mirror Black, and I'm like, you guys will like my band, but I also like Nevermore, and I got more into Nevermore as on. So then I was like, no, I really like Nevermore. But then anyway, so but the point is but they would talk about different music and stuff. It was a discussion forum. They didn't just sit around jerking off Nevermore, And they were fairly a lot of
they didn't pull punches,
right? It's because that's the thing. Who was I read? Oh, my friend Phil, angrymetalguy.com. because of the new Iron Maiden album, he's like the biggest Iron Maiden fan. He did a worst to best of all of Iron Maiden's studio albums. Yeah, it was pretty good, right? Yeah. I didn't agree with half of it.
No, I didn't.
I was like, I posted. I hope he understands that I was trying to like I'm pretty sure we have this report where I was like, hey, great read, even though you're wrong most of the time. But only just because he put Power Slave above, below X Factor.
What?
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, he likes Blaze. He's also one of those guys, Blaze didn't get a fair shot. I'm like, he probably didn't, but I still don't think he's that great. But,
I mean, I think Blaze is an excellent frontman and singer for a different band.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Which I think
Iron
is what
Maiden.
everyone agrees with. Yeah. I think the word is that, like, they didn't even try to accommodate him. Like, they were like...
they were still writing vocal lines for Bruce Dickinson, right? And he's like, guys...
Yeah, he's like, that's not my actual range. But yeah, so like that, he makes a good comment in there about how, especially at least in metal, maybe not as much on this, I don't know, at least in metal, if you're really, really into a band, like, you can, amongst other fans of it, you can argue about which albums you like, and people don't really get genuinely bothered by it because they're like, it's cool, we know you like a good band, so I respect you, and therefore we can talk about it like peers and not be like, what's that crap, so like and that's part of my whole thing too, is like the whole point is like Dio is my favorite example because I genuinely love Dio, and specifically Ronnie James Dio, and I don't necessarily think like Dio is the best material. No, but I mean as opposed to just the band Dio.
Oh, the band,
I mean like all of the things he's done. I like all of it. I like it in like Rainbow, Sabbath, Dio. I like Ronnie James Dio, but he's hilarious, right? Because the lyrics, and he's saying look out, just randomly look out all the time. You're like, for what? The rainbow themes, it's also like there's nothing wrong with having a sense of humor about stuff.
Right.
And
I agree.
Like people need to like chill out
a little
about
bit. Well, it's the exchange of ideas, and that's, I think, one reason why PMX, for example, is still relevant, because people get on there and they actually share interesting viewpoints.
Yeah, and they also definitely don't pull punches.
They don't pull punches, and there's no sycophantism.
Yeah, it's not there isn't like a yes man thing going on there, and that's definitely the case with the ProgPower forum. But I mean, I can sort of understand why, right? Again, it's a promotional tool for Glenn.
Right,
not really
exactly. It's not exactly like, it's not that it's a bad business model. It's definitely not. But the other thing I forgot to mention is that which is the thing I should have started with, was whatever I say about ProgPower, keep in mind I am a gold badge holder, and I have been since number 2. So I have contributed a significant amount.
Yeah, I stopped being a gold badge holder 5 years ago when I became a VIP.
Sponsor is what it is. Sponsor is because there's a differentiation in those words. VIP just sounds like, Kyle's so important. I feel like you shouldn't be paying to come to the festival. Whereas sponsor is, I paid a bunch of money because I want a band to be here. Should we talk about the sponsorship thing? That's kind of an interesting...
Well, what were you hoping to accomplish with this podcast with regard to ProgPower? Because we've
Again, I feel like you said you listened to the
podcast.
We don't have clear-cut goals because we can't. I wanted to talk
about sponsorship, man.
Well, okay, so here's an interesting part of the ProgPower model. Okay, that's what we should talk about.
Talk about Gold Badge and then sponsorship.
I'm gonna take a moment and say only really good things. The whole way this festival came about, and the way that it grew especially was really brilliant with how Glenn, like the Gold Badge itself, right? The Gold Badge has always been like a more expensive ticket, which is still cheap compared to any other festival. Like I just went to Heavy Montreal, and it's like it cost like one day costs what a Gold Badge costs, or probably, or maybe more, I don't know, or something similar.
And the regular festival attendees would be unhappy to hear this, but after you add in the Ticketmaster fees, the Gold Badge doesn't actually cost that much more than a regular ticket does.
Right.
The Gold Badges are limited though, because
it used to be a more noticeable difference, I think, and also, well, there are still. Let's not talk about Gold Badge benefits because that's not as. But anyway, but. Because that fell off really quickly for me. Like in the early days, I was excited about Gold Badge benefits. I don't know if they ever once completely like like paid off to where I was like,
I think the only one that currently exists is the extra show on Saturday.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like those are the best benefit. They just like they've been, for one thing, they've been acoustic shows like 90% of the time, and most bands I don't need to hear an acoustic set from. I did hear an acoustic set from Evergrey last time they did one, and that was good, and I didn't need to hear it again. That was enough for me of an acoustic set from Evergrey.
Yeah, I feel like in the early days, although I'm not actually sure I can remember, but I feel like in the early days the Gold Badge had more privileges associated with it.
Yeah, it did.
You still get in early. But for instance, during I guess what was the Thursday show way back then, right? There used to be like a separate room just for Gold Badge members. So they could go back there and chat and talk without the music blaring.
Yeah. I think that only lasted like a year or two, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were several years there where Glenn was actually pretty apologetic to us about the fact that we didn't really have any amenities as Gold Badge holders.
There was a bunch of stuff the first few years, and it was all right. That was the thing. It was all right. It was cool, but it wasn't to where I was like, "Oh man, I better not lose my Gold Badge privilege." I still didn't want to, but I was like, but yeah. Then there was a few years where he admittedly was like, "There's nothing I could really come up with." But that's what it is, though. I feel like, it's one of those, and maybe it's just me. There's really isn't anything I can think of that would suddenly be like, "Ooh, I gotta have that Gold Badge to get into that thing." It's like it just is more. It's partially me over the years. In addition to the Gold Badge, is that I have cared less and less about the things that they've attempted to offer, and then at some point I just realized like it's never going to be like a big. Oh man, I better.
But aren't you really excited for the Anathema set tomorrow?
No, because I'm probably not going to be at it.
Well, there's
there's
your Gold Badge privilege right there.
Anathema plugged in is sleepy enough. Acoustic Anathema, I will be out. I listened to some the other day. I put on an Anathema. I'm gonna watch them though. I actually want to see them because I listened to some. It's what I thought it was pretty much, but it's all right. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. I'll watch this. I'll like this. I'll probably sit down, but. And I might not fall asleep, but
I think
but
a lot
it's
of
like
people will be falling
very
asleep.
Melodic.
A lot of Falconer fans waiting for Falconer to come on are probably going to be sitting in their seats sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
Through Anathema, but
resting up for
or they're going to be standing up front by the rail so that they're there for Falconer, just standing there with their arms crossed, being like, "This sucks."
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's right. I forgot because they switched order.
They did.
See, that wouldn't be an issue if it was the other way around, but.
Well, then you'd have a repeat of the Shadow Gallery set, where Shadow Gallery is probably the best set I've ever seen. But the house cleared out during their set.
Oh, that's
right.
Which
is shocking because they never play live. So you figure that everybody would just stick around and be like, "Wow, this band that never plays live is playing live."
I think the window for that would have made a bigger difference was like 10 years ago. And part of the fact that they never played live is what I think kept their fandom somewhat limited, because there's a certain point where like seeing a band live is part of what makes you like, I am a fan of this band for the rest of my life. You see a band and you're like, this is the shit. I'm also gesturing really emphatically, and I just realized nobody's
going to see that.
So
but you need to video this podcast,
right? But the point is like it's a big part of it, and so. I loved Shadow Gallery. Sorry, I didn't mean to use past tense. I just don't listen to them recently. I'll listen to Journey.
I'm not a Shadow Gallery fan at all.
No, but I was
really impressed by their set.
I was too, but I was really into Shadow Gallery for a while. But then at a certain point, I was like, so you guys just aren't going to play live. This is just like just record shit. And the dude has like a studio. So
with all due respect to the Dead, right? Mike Baker was the problem there, right?
Was he?
Yeah, he was the reason why they didn't tour. He was uninterested in touring.
No, they didn't even play local shows for the most. There's like maybe 2.
Sorry, I mean playing live, like not just touring, but
really?
like
at all?
My understanding was that Mike Baker was not interested in playing live. So I don't have any way to confirm that. That could be just complete and utter horseshit.
But then again, then how come like the rest of the band at some point wasn't like, well, don't we feel like this would be a useful promotional tool for people to see us perform? And then it comes down to like, well, can you, right? Because he has a great studio. He's like, I mean, that's part of the whole thing, right? Is I think he like. I'm just gonna start making stuff up if I start speculating, but I'm pretty sure he like owned a studio, and not even if it was a home studio, it was a really nice home studio, right? Like he brought a chunk of the studio. That's why they sounded so amazing. He brought a chunk of the studio. He had a rack full of like $1,000 per channel compressors, and that's why their backing vocals sounded like tracks but weren't tracks. Like they were totally live. They sounded amazing, and all the levels were perfect, and that's because he brought like these refrigerator racks worth of studio equipment. So like they sound great, but then it's like, and they are good. Obviously they showed they can do it, but they showed it so late. That's the thing. Yeah. So like 15 years earlier.
Did you stay for the Shadow Gallery
yes,
set?
I was. Look, I didn't know what they cleared out because I was too far up front.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of look back and you're like, is it cleared out? I think there's less people than there might have been, but I don't know.
Well, it was one of those sets actually where I think the word got around during the set about how amazing it was, and it got more full as the show went on.
Probably
because
with social media now, probably that's what people were probably standing outside getting messages like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen."
It did for a while, but then it was so late that people just started hemorrhaging and leaving. That was it. I mean, not hemorrhaging. Yeah, but the venue started hemorrhaging.
Oh yeah,
people.
it started kind of late, right?
Oh, it was really
late. It was really late.
Really,
I mean, their
late.
set didn't end until like 2:30 in the morning or something. I mean, it was pretty late.
Yeah. I even bailed. I mean, I thought they were amazing, but I was like, I need to get out of here.
I remember I stayed for every
time to drink
song.
Yeah, pretty much.
I might have left during like the encore thing, but I think I stayed for most of it because I was for a window of time. I was really into Shadow Gallery.
Well, so they had at one point they had 4 guitarists on stage. And you think about a band having 4 guitarists, and you know that at least 2 of them are completely unnecessary.
Right.
But it was like all 4 of them needed to be there. That's how good they were.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the singer was like the most extraneous one, but yeah, there was a lot of guitars.
It was pretty
Janik of Shadow Gallery.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like that. Well, and yeah, that's part of Shadow Gallery's thing too. Is that Gary Werkamp was like ridiculously good at both guitar and keyboard, and does both. And then, there's a lot of like redundant instrumentation, but not musically redundant at all. Like they actually made use of the.
Well, right, and it fills out their sound. I mean, it was their sound was unbelievable live. Like I never expected it to sound that good.
Yeah,
like,
especially because it's so produced on the albums.
Right. I mean, and I went into that set expecting them to be good, right, but not as good as they were. That show was amazing.
Yeah,
probably the biggest surprise for me in all the years I've been going.
Yeah, that was it was definitely an all-time highlight. Yeah. But my thing is like it's again, I didn't really listen to their. I think Legacy, when they did the sequel to Tyranny, like that was the one where like I listened to a little bit of it and I was like, I don't know. Like sequel albums have, I can't, like I've yet to find one where I was like, it's a good thing they wrote that sequel to that album.
I have
Scenes from Memory isn't.
But it's a sequel to a song, so they can kind of.
I see. Yeah, you're dithering here. But.
Well, no, and honestly, to be fair, it's like. It's the case where it works. You have to make the sequel something different enough. Which in this case is it has nothing to do with the original song. They just stole like imagery and then reassigned it to the new concept. Which I guess you could say that's kind of dumb, and therefore why is it even a sequel? Like the sequel thing is like, but again, even in that case, it's a gimmick, right? It's kind of like
they were just like, we're going back to our roots after crappy falling into infinity, right?
And they went back to the roots so hard that. He has 70 minutes.
Everyone missed the gesture that Matt just made, but
and I like that album. So, but I no longer like argue with people who don't because I can kind of see it both ways. It's a lot of Dream Theater.
I'm kind of on the fence with that one.
If you like Dream Theater, and you want to hear a lot of it,
yeah. I mean, I just like every time I'm listening to that album, I think I'd rather be listening to Images and Words. Like that's really what it comes down to. It's just like it feels like they just went back and recreated Images and Words, and surprisingly, like most Dream Theater fans love it. Right? They're like, oh my god, it's so
because
good.
Most Dream Theater fans up until that point were like, it's not as good as Images and Words. And they're like, this is a lot like Images and Words. Only there's a lot of it.
Right, but I don't want to hear the same album made like 7 times, right? I mean, you know, I want them to progress and make something new.
That's why it's called progressive.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't any...
God, let's not get into that discussion. I'll refer everyone to the, you know, one of the 1,000 threads on PMX where people discuss prog versus progressive.
Right. Which I don't know why they're still discussing it. I think it's very clear.
I don't think it's been
because
discussed in a while, actually.
People on the internet just like arguing about shit.
Yeah. Well, no. So Edu Falasky just gave me the ideal term. Like, instead of calling like prog bands that are prog as opposed to progressive, you should call them proggy metal or power metal bands that think they're progressive. He was like, you guys like proggy metal, right? And I was like, that's the perfect way to describe it. Yes, everyone here likes proggy metal. And then he's like, how about
everyone
this?
here likes proggy metal. You.
Yeah, and then he's like, this song's really long. And it was a really long power metal song.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
I guess that's proggy, you know.
Kind of.
But yeah.
But maybe you should talk about the sponsorships now.
Oh, yeah. So the sponsorship thing, which is actually is a cool idea, is that because of the costs. So the thing is that Glenn does this whole thing himself. And when he started it, he had a job. And now it's become his job. But it's still like heavy investment up front in terms of booking the venue and the bands. And he covers like their hotels and stuff, and he actually pays all the bands. So basically, he outsourced. You know, in a pre-Kickstarter world, he crowdsourced funding some of the bands, though in a very specific, like small group people way. So like basically, well, do you guys want to describe how the process actually works since you've actually been through it? And I've just sort of watched people do it and been like, so how much did you pay to see that band?
So I can only speak to my experience since 2010.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't have to use numbers if you don't want.
Yeah, I think Glenn would probably prefer that we not do that.
Let's not. We don't have to discuss it.
But yeah, so I mean, at least in modern times, the sponsorships are all individual. Like there are no corporate sponsors for the festival, and he gets enough individual sponsors to, you know, pay his expenses for all the bands and presumably some income and whatnot. And so it's, you know, the idea is, you know, if you want to sponsor a band, you send Glenn a proposal saying, you know, I'm willing to give you, you know, X amount of dollars to sponsor a particular band. And if that band gets selected to play the festival, then you're sort of bound at that point to pay him the money, and then you'll get the VIP badge and get access to most areas of the venue. It's a pretty good. I wouldn't actually say that it's a good deal compared to the gold badge, right? But I do it because I enjoy sponsoring the festival, right? I want to support Glenn and I want to keep the festival going, right. And so like that's why it's worth it to me. It's even for me personally, it's less about the band than it is about the festival. I feel like I'm a festival sponsor more so than a band sponsor. Yeah. Except for Lepers last year, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah, so. You guys should take full credit for Lepers.
I absolutely take full credit for that.
Well, and that's the other thing. It lets you, it gives you another way to influence the content of the festival. And, well, yeah, and yet last year was my favorite in... I would have to look back a few years at the lineups to figure out the year that last year is the best since, because it's pretty far back, because last year was the shit.
Yeah, it was definitely the shit.
Mostly because of Leprous and Pain of Salvation.
The trick with sponsorship is that, you know, you have to, when you put in your bid to sponsor, it's like a year and a half before the festival you're actually sponsoring.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that any of the bands on your bid list are going to get picked. And in fact, 2 out of the 4 times I did it with this group, none of the bands on our list got picked.
Right. Well, we became general sponsors.
Yeah, we just picked another band out of them. One year it was mine, and the other year it was Heaven's Cry. But the very first year we got Haken, which was Jeremy's idea,
and then this year,
last year was Leprous, and then I actually dropped out of the sponsorship group. I'm just a gold badge holder again. But they got
among the plebeians.
Yeah, I'm a plebe again. They got Riverside.
Yeah, we got Riverside. Jeremy and I. So cool.
Well, I mean, I dropped out because it was a lot of money. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. I did it for 4 years, and I feel like I helped out the festival kind of during the lean years.
Yeah.
But it's doing great again, and felt like I could use that money for other stuff. So
yeah,
gold badge is fine.
Sweet.
For now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the sponsorship is a cool thing. The other really unique thing about the festival that you wouldn't know unless you've gone to it is it's logistical, and I think it is especially relevant in the early years. It's faded a little with the growth of the festival actually, but because the main hotels are very close to the venue and there's only a few of them really, the bands are always in some of the same hotels. And so like I remember the first year, like, you pull up to the hotel with your bag and like Symphony X was just like sitting around in the courtyard, and you were like, I think that's one of the bands I came here to see. Like, yeah. And so then when there's like,
and the parties,
there, you know where to go for the party. So,
well, but I mean, in the early days, before the courtyard at the Artmore, when it was still the Granada and before the courtyard was like owned by the attendees of the festival, there were room parties, right? And one of those room parties was a rather epic party.
So at the risk of, I mean, I could go into like the party.
I've heard about this
party
now
history
like 5,000 times.
I feel like the party history of ProgPower could be its own episode almost. But the early years.
Tell the abridged version.
Okay, well first I'll tell the super abridged version of the 303 party from the first year, and then like the only other party that maybe came close to that was the Fairfield, because it was.
Yeah, you mean the one where Mike Blevins was pouring beer off a balcony directly down Vicious' throat?
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome.
The one where it got shut down because Pain of Salvation needed to sleep. So
fancy.
Anyway, so the first year, the headliner on Saturday night was Camelot. It's too bad Rich isn't here because he's directly involved in the story. Rich,
why does that not shock me?
He knew the person. I try not to identify people if they don't know they're being identified. He knew the person who was actually staying in that room, or the people, because it was like the biggest suite in the formerly Granada Best Western, and he was like, yeah, we're having a big party, whatever. Yeah, invite people. So Rich grabs a couple girls, which was harder to come by the first couple of years. And
yeah, I'm not going to get into that.
And they make a big sign and they hold it up during Camelot's set. And for some reason they hold it up like right at the beginning of like, the let's take it down a notch, like the ballad rever. So it was like dark and quiet and everyone's paying attention. And then Roy Khan from Camelot like reads the sign on stage. And it was funny too, because it was like, Best Western, or like, it was supposed to be like Best Western Party, but it was aligned weird, so it looked like it said Best Western Party. And but it had the room, like it was room 303, and he announced it. And so like after the thing, we went to that room and it was packed. Like people were sitting on the floor. There were so many people. I mean, it was a big room. I'm terrible with like distances, so I can't like be like, it's about whatever by whatever. I have no idea. But it was a big ass fucking room with like a dining room table and like just way too much open I mean, I don't know if it's even still a room. Like I imagine they must have like broken that into like multiple rooms or something, but now it's such an enormous suite. Or they just like have like 5 pullouts and like 3 bands stay there or something now. It's my guess. But it was so big and people kept showing up is what happened. There was so many people, and every 15 minutes someone else would walk in the room and somebody would cheer. And sometimes it was just somebody they knew from a forum or mailing list or whatever. But then sometimes it was somebody from a band. And I think like half the bands were largely represented at that party. Like so many people came through. It was ridiculous. And I know because I was there until 7 a.m. and I was one of the last people to leave. And me and Rich, somebody had a video camera and they were like, and Rich was like hanging around and they were like, here, if you want to like film the party and stuff, like I don't want to like hold my video camera all night. Yeah. So Rich had the camera, and so we were like walking around talking to people, and basically it was the year that I learned like if you just stick a camera in someone's face and they've had like a beer, like they will just those be like, yeah, like it was basically sticking a camera in someone's face is like, you want to see people act dumb and get it on camera. All you need is the camera. That's the whole formula. So we got some great stuff. I don't want to get too much into the specifics of what we caught on tape. Because that might require its own episode with Rich and like maybe acquiring a copy of the tape.
You need to give us one shenanigan.
But basically, there were a couple vocalists from a couple different bands who were both really, really wrecked. One of them was really drunk and just said some funny stuff. And then the other one was on something else and out of his mind. And we got like an hour of that shit. And the tape, like, because it was also in a weird point between, like, just imagine if this happened now and it was on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's in fact
You should just put it on YouTube.
Well, I gotta find my copy because the thing is, the dude who had the tape made like burned DVDs, and they were like, you know, DVD-Rs with like a wave or like a WMV or something on there. I don't even know what format, but you know, like just a digital, or maybe even CDRs with just like a copy of it on there. It might have actually been 2 CDRs, I think, with videos on them, and just like burned copies and mailed them to people who like asked him. And so it literally was like a party tape that got passed around, only not literally a tape.
Yeah, there has to be a copy of it somewhere.
I have one somewhere, and I'm sure we can find one, and maybe just take the highlights. Because the problem trying to watch the actual videos, it's actually really long. And there's a lot of... You have to fast forward through a lot of shit.
It's a party, right? So there's probably a lot of time where there's really nothing happening.
Right. What I really need to do is... I always meant to do this, but then nobody seemed to care enough. I was going to, like, edit out, like, a highlight reel. But then I was just like, nobody's actually going to watch this. And there wasn't like YouTube and shit as much now. But now, I mean, now it might actually be worth finding the highlights.
Some of the lowlights.
And it's not like, you know, who has a career to ruin, as far as I can tell. Like, I'm not sure what band he's in right now, but I don't think they're, you know. So it's not like, if anything, it might help him out. YouTube star.
So when I first started coming, the Fairfield was gone. My first festival was 6. Fairfield was gone. We just stayed at the residence.
That was the previous year. Was the Fairfield's last year?
Yeah,
so that was ProgPower 5.
Yeah,
and the big courtyard party that takes place at the Artmore was still like. Didn't start until like ProgPower 9 or something like that. So
because they finally, well, for one, they one of the times, because they changed either management or ownership a bunch of times,
right? And
one of those times they finally were like, okay, well, you guys all stay here and we get money from it instead of being jerks about. And you mostly seem to want to party, right? Like, they're not like we're getting a ton of complaints. You mostly are like, your complaint is that we won't let you party. So, right. So they're mostly like, so finally they're just like, okay, well, we got like, they set up the courtyard for people to be in, for one, because it wasn't really before. It was just a courtyard. And so they added all like these outdoor couches and stuff,
and then that enormous like torch in the middle.
Yeah. And I think the first year it was sort of like an uneasy alliance, like, we're keeping an eye on this, just don't get too crazy, but yeah, I mean, there's a courtyard here. But then a year or so later, somebody finally got wise and was like, yeah, man, all right, it's cool, like, you guys can hang out and party here all night and just don't do anything crazy or illegal. Don't break stuff.
And that's the way it's been ever since.
There's been some ups and downs, but it's really...
the one year that the cops got called because who was it that got thrown out? Yeah, that was not a good scene.
Yeah.
There was a dude who was way over his limit.
Yeah.
And it came close to being shut down permanently.
Right. Well, it was shut down that night, right? It was Saturday night, and it was pretty early. It was maybe like 3:30 or something in the morning.
I'm saying.
Yeah, and it was a while.
Came really close to
he had to like
the whole thing
he had
down.
to like talk. They were basically gonna be like, next year that's not gonna happen. He was like, well, hold on, man.
Yeah.
Like, my friends like to party. So, but yeah, and it's really great that it has worked out though, because it really, for a couple of years, the party thing was rough. I mean, you find people you knew, and there was hotel room parties, but the hotel room parties were whenever there was a big area where people could gather, that was really, I feel like other metal festivals are usually too big to do that because it would just be overrun. But So it's a good balance, but
yeah, I mean, even the years that Rod and I ran a party in the residence, right? I mean, at most we had maybe 30 people in there.
Yeah,
right?
that was and I think that was pretty much the first year, the year that DC Cooper showed up at 5:30 in the morning after everybody else had left and shotgunned a Bud Light.
I think, yeah, and I think I might remember that.
He's like, "Where's the party?" I'm like, dude, the party's over.
I was here a couple hours ago.
Was that what was the year? One year you guys had a party and it was like the best party that year, and I think I don't know if it was that one, but it was like I remember Bill Hudson was there. There was some elf band playing that year. Who was the silly elf band?
The year
Elven King.
We didn't. So
I was
we
like,
actually
something to do with elves.
Right. We didn't actually host that party.
Or maybe that was someone else.
Somebody else did, but it was in the
okay.
residence.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And Bill Hudson was definitely there, and
Yeah.
he definitely made an ass of himself, without a doubt.
I remember. Yeah, that's why I remember it.
So that we
Was
can all
the
agree on.
old Bill Hudson or the new Bill Hudson?
This is the
That was the old Bill Hudson.
Bill
Yeah,
Hudson.
yeah. I think that might have
The
been
one
maybe
without the
that's-
stretch marks.
Right.
So are you going to edit that out?
Yeah, you probably want to edit that part out.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I just like to go on record as saying I think Bill Hudson is actually a pretty good guitar player.
He's also super ripped now, so like I don't think he's gonna care about that. Yeah. He was also on the cover of an ESP catalog like a year or two ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I had to tell everybody at Sam Ash who he was. I was like, I know that guy. And they were like, really? Because I don't. And like he's on the cover of the ESP catalog, looking pretty cool. And it said Circle to Circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some like box guitars or something that were being sold with like his picture on it, like like guitars that were just being sold on a music store.
Really?
But they were boxed up, and yeah, he took a picture of it one day. And I was like,
Yeah, it must have been because of they had the
Not that I
picture
saw
from
it
the
anywhere,
from the
but-
catalog.
Would you like a microphone?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So the
parties.
parties.
The parties.
Oh yeah, so the Fairfield was interesting. So the Fairfield was a hotel that was open the first few years. I didn't stay there the first few years, and then all of a sudden, or maybe I don't know if the first couple of years if it was active yet, but there was a few years where it was the spot because it was pretty big for one.
Yeah, it had that enormous outdoor courtyard,
Yeah,
right? Because it was
outdoor-
sort of like a motel setup.
Yeah, it was like it was almost like a pool area, but it was actually I think separated from the pool. But there was like a big outdoor courtyard, and then there was balconies. So like if you came out of your room, you could see the party, which kind of like the art more if you're on the courtyard inside rooms, but you could walk out of your room and you were on a balcony and you could yell at the party, and people did, or pour things on them, which some people also did. But it was a large central area, and everyone knew where it was, and there was a lot of parties. There was also one year that Midnight showed up very late at the party, and somebody had an acoustic guitar, and so he performed. And that's another tape I need to... There's a tape of that.
Wow.
Because Raven... Well, I know a few people had cameras, but I also definitely know that Raven did, so I should talk to him and see if he still has that.
That was a
that
magical performance.
There are people that would probably really love to see that.
I'm sure
if your only experience seeing Midnight was upstairs in the loft a few years back, may he rest in peace.
See, I missed that.
Because
I
that
didn't
was
miss
not
the
a good
Midnight.
performance.
No, it was pretty painful.
Well,
Yeah.
the main reason I want to get the tape is I want to hear if you can hear Rich laughing at my comment in the background. Because there was only like 15 people there, and it was acoustic, so it was pretty quiet. And we were kind of standing back because we weren't that into it. And there was some song, and he said something about his kids. Well, it was the lyrics to the song. You know, his lyrics are kind of like stream of consciousness almost, or I mean, probably that is his stream of consciousness. But there was something about wine and his kids, and I was like, somebody better call child services. And Rich just like, he laughed so loud, it has to be on everybody's tape, is my thing, right? I feel like if you have a recording of that performance, at some point you can hear Rich in the background laughing, and I want to find a copy to confirm that. And then later on, after the show, so after me and Rich are all like, Raven comes up to me, he's like, hey, I need your help. And I think this was like maybe when this might have been the first year I was actually in the band with him, or maybe I had met him the previous year, and don't know if I was in the band, but I knew him, so I basically couldn't be
Black.
like, yeah, Raven Murray, from the band, formerly of the band Mirror Black. Now he's in Denim and Leather, which is an 80s metal cover tribute type act in Wisconsin.
Like Steel Panther, but different.
Kinda.
Less overtly sexual.
Kinda, yeah. They have a really good guitar player, too. This dude, Eric. What's his last name? Damn it. I'll look it up.
Would that qualify as a butt rock band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically speaking, it's there's like, it varies between the butt rock and the like 80s metal, like Ozzy, which again, so that's still butt rock to some people.
Yeah.
There's a little gray area between traditional metal and butt rock that, depending on who you ask, you know. I mean, like the other day, I came up with an idea for a song called "You Are Butt Rock 2," spelled "U-R Butt Rock 2."
Oh, nice.
And it's for all those like subgenres of metal that think they're like above it, but they're really actually butt rock. I don't remember what band I was watching when I thought of that though. But anyway, so the Fairfield was cool. And then when that went away, it was back to like party hunting. I remember one year where I was just like party hunting, and it was very unsuccessful.
There were some pretty lean years there.
Yeah. Where you had to get a 30 rack of PBR and just carry it around hoping that somebody's door would be open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we stayed in the residence for many years, and they kind of, they have a little courtyard area out in front of the building, and they kind of frowned on us turning that into like a free-for-all. I mean, it just never happened. We just stayed. They were never as open to that as the
right.
Ardmore
Well, I mean, for one thing,
been.
it's like right on a main road, and it's not like the Ardmore courtyard is a little bit more enclosed.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
residence courtyard, I mean, you could see it from a half a mile away.
Yeah.
So if there's some huge party going on,
and the people on that side of the building could usually hear it too, I think. So it was I remember hanging out there one night when there was anything else going on. But.
Well, I mean, parties aren't just drunken decadence, and you mentioned the midnight thing. I mean, one of the other cool things about the parties is the artists come out and party with you.
Right.
Yeah, like Amaranth was there one year.
Yeah, and it's bits of Amaranth have been there previous years as well.
Well, I remember, the year the Shadowgary played, I remember actually having a conversation with Gary Werecomp.
Oh, yeah.
In the courtyard after the show, and making a complete ass of myself.
He was a cool guy. He was a very cool laid back guy.
Yeah, he was laid back.
Yeah, that was.
I remember the year that Oceans of Sadness played, and the bassist got shit-faced the night before his performance. I remember the year.
I bet that happens more often than we know
probably,
about.
Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the great thing about the parties. They're well, and I mean, to me, the fact that it's all now in the courtyard is even better because you can hear people, you can have conversations, and that's what it is. It's where people like can really talk and bond and whatever, and they're not like, oh crap, I gotta see this band right now.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that the courtyard is generally completely devoid of music. Right, people are just talking and standing around drinking because they've been listening to music all day. It's now time to talk and be heard.
Yeah,
exactly. So let's see what else. Okay, so that's pretty good on the party stuff. Should we talk about this year at all? I mean, so it's currently Thursday night. Tonight's the kickoff show. We're here because none of us were particularly desperate to see Armored Saint and Saxon. We went I went to the show. I bought a ticket like a week ago to this show because last year I skipped it because I wasn't into the lineup, and there were enough people around who were like, yeah, we're not going to that either, so I just didn't go. But this year I didn't know if anybody was actually not going, so I was like, well, I guess I'll buy a ticket and go to this butt rock show.
Well, I mean, for me, the whole attraction of the night was just Alma. I did get into Dragonland too. I will admit that their Dungeons and Dragons thing that didn't exactly turn me off.
So one of the guitar players in Dragonland, Olaf Merk, is also the guitar player for Amaranth.
Shocking, I know, right?
He actually plays in
very
Dragonland.
Distinctive.
He's actually he doesn't do anything in Amaranth.
And he doesn't do anything. Like
he plays.
well,
Right, but that's where all the money comes from.
It's pop music. I mean, Amaranth is pop metal.
Right. So, but he's supposed to be one of the very little bits of actual metal, and he's just chugga chugga. Yeah. But the point is, he can actually play.
Yeah.
And in Dragonland, well, the thing is, Dragonland. I mean, you could tell in his solos, whatever. But the rest of the time, it wasn't like, oh. But the thing was, he used to could play comparison guitars, and so at least I got to like look at his pretty guitars. But then tonight he was just playing some shitty ass Jackson.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? You mean there's not even a comparison guitar on stage right now? And I came in here to listen to this, and and I was not thrilled with them. It was power metal.
Yeah. Well, $50 is a lot to see one band.
So you'd like one 45-minute set.
Well, I don't know. How long was Alma on for? They were on for an hour, weren't they? I mean,
I listened to like 3 songs, and I left during
that was the main thing. I just wanted to see them.
song because I knew it was going to go on for a while,
and they broke out 3 Anger songs.
Yeah, that's
Here Is the Sand, Nova Era, and Angels and Demons. Which I actually didn't expect them. I'm probably against my better judgment. Didn't expect them to play any Anger stuff because, I guess the end didn't go well, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I think the reason why he left Anger was because he couldn't sing Anger songs anymore.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. He was like, I'm not a super high singy guy, but I got hired in this band that used to have the highest singer of high singers, at least as far as Brazil's concerned, and so he had to stretch to do that stuff, and then it was hard. It's hard to keep if you're singing out of your range. It's hard to keep it up on the road.
Yeah, completely destroyed his voice.
Yeah. But so you could tell he was back to more of his comfortable. Like he's traditionally more of just a like Bruce Dickinson-ish.
I mean he's actually a good vocalist for Alma. Like he writes and records it in his range, and it sounds fine.
Yeah.
But when he was singing the Anger songs tonight, you could tell he was really stretching.
I mean, it was another sort of Blaze situation, although maybe less obvious, because Edu was pretty good when he started.
Yeah,
like on Rebirth, he was really good. I would say, but then as time went on, his voice just got his vocal range just got,
right. Well, it was because I think he could do the stuff, but it was the kind of stuff that, even when he wasn't singing the really high notes, the melodies were written so high in his range that. As someone who also used to exclusively write songs very high in my own range, which was a very bad idea most of the time, it's exhausting, right? Especially if you're not like used to doing stuff to prevent it from like wearing out your vocal cords. So I think early on it was like, yeah, I could do this. And in the studio, he was probably just like, fuck yeah, sing high and shit. And then he started going on the road, and it was like, I'm supposed to sing all of these notes especially on that first album he was on, which was like the transitional album. Then they kind of gave him a little bit of what he wanted, and he kind of got to do more of the kind of lower stuff.
Yeah, Temple of Shadows, right?
Temple of Shadows, a little of the guttural stuff. The one that followed that, Aurora Consurgence, he started to sing in his natural range on that one. But if you've ever heard the Rebirth demos that he did. He, which is what they did before releasing Rebirth. Mm-hmm. It sounds like Andre Matos is singing Rebirth. Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's not like you hear Edu trying to reproduce Andre's high voice, and it doesn't really come across quite that way. But with these demos, it sounded like Andre Matos was singing the songs from Rebirth.
Yeah, I'm going to have to track that down.
Yeah. Matt Johnson has it.
And that's crazy because, like, that's the thing. Like, Andre Matos is he's a really high tenor. Like, his low notes are pretty high, Like, everything he sings is way up there. So it's crazy to be like, and you can hear just from when Edu talks, that's not his range.
Yeah. Andre sings Wuthering Heights in Kate Bush's register.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would have liked to see him. He was scheduled to headline one year with like a solo band, which I assume would have been like just a bunch of Angra and Shaman songs. And I really like one of the Shaman discs.
The first Shaman disc is really good.
Yeah.
And the first Andre Matos disc is really good too. So
Oh yeah.
Time to Be Free.
Yeah. Yes, that would have been really cool, but it was one of those ones that didn't make it.
And likely never will, apparently.
Yeah, it was
he's got some issues.
Yeah,
He may not be able to
that's
get a visa.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, man. I mean, maybe it's a rumor.
Well, I also don't know what like Andre Matos. The way that he kind of like reappears. I mean, it's hard to tell because he's Brazilian, so I don't know what the Brazilian scene is like, and if so I don't know like how popular Alma is in Brazil, or how I know Angra is huge in Brazil, obviously.
Yeah, and everywhere except here, pretty much.
Right. Everywhere that it's acceptable to listen
Japan
to metal,
and Northern Europe and all, but not here.
Yeah, what's weird is that as metal is becoming more acceptable in the U.S., that kind of metal still isn't.
Yeah,
it's like the new wave of American metal is like, we're just gonna, we're not going back to that. We're gonna go over here. We're all really angry.
I think there are probably still too many people who would associate power metal with like hair metal.
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing,
the imagery, right? Like the long hair and the guys like.
So I did. We recorded an episode of the podcast that will probably. Well, it's weird to say it on here because I haven't decided if I want to like bump it a week for this one to post this after ProgPower, or play that one first and then play this one. And it's going to be weird because on there we talk about one of the bands that's actually playing ProgPower now, but I don't know if they had been announced yet. I think they might have actually been announced as the replacement the day that we did the podcast about it.
Interesting.
Which is Unleash the Archers. But the episode was, and this is a little unfair to them because it was a weird spur of the moment one where we didn't do a ton of preparation, but it was on gimmick metal. And the thing is, it's a tricky term because it's kind of inherently derogatory because it's implying like you are your gimmick. But on the other hand, gimmicks have become such an inherent part of certain types of metal that it shouldn't necessarily be derogatory. And that was part of what we talked about in the episode. Is I was like, look, I'm not saying that all these bands suck because they have gimmicks. I'm just saying let's examine what it means to be a band that has a fucking gimmick, because a lot of them do now. And I feel like to a certain point, unless it was like it feels like there are more than there used to be. It feels like there are more gimmick bands, or at least more bands who are like, we need a gimmick, or are just like, or maybe, I mean, I'm sure they don't think about it that way. But like,
so like when you say gimmick,
there's a lot of more people wearing armor on stage.
Okay, so like Odin's Organ, they were wearing the tire treads. And
Odin's Organ,
yes. Whatever they call it.
That's what they should be called. Right, and it's part of that's the thing. It's not even just costumery.
Right.
It's that it's like the theme of the band. That's what makes it a gimmick. It's part of the thing. Is like, it's the thing we do because it relates to the music.
Well, yeah,
somehow.
I mean, they're trying to project an image,
right,
and so they're gonna engage in tropes that are associated with getting people to go like, yeah, metal,
right, exactly, and but that's weird, like so.
Well, some people aren't just in it for the music.
Well, look, it's like Kiss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kiss. I mean, that's really like that's where it starts, right?
I feel like even Kiss though didn't write anything about their gimmick until Psycho Circus. Right? Did they ever acknowledge that they're a bunch of clowns in earlier stuff? I don't think so. But finally they're like, yeah, fine, man, fine. You want to make fun of us for wearing makeup? Fine, we're clowns. We're fucking rock and roll clowns. Do a lot of cocaine. So, but that was when they put the makeup back on. They were like, we're putting the makeup back on, and this album's called Psycho Circus, and so it's like we're acknowledging the gimmick, right? But now, like, and I know a bunch of these, so I don't want to just repeat the episode. The point being, a lot of them are power metal bands, and I feel like power metal has sort of
the well has run dry.
Well, yeah, I mean, how distinctive can power metal really be? Right, it's a bunch of double bass drums, right? And so the only way to distinguish themselves is by throwing armor on and
rather
being like,
than find a way to distinguish yourself musically,
right.
You need to find a way to distinguish yourself visually or thematically.
Well, right, because people are fans of the image that is being presented more so than the music that is being played, right? I mean,
which is terrible. But
well, speaking as
why I have a podcast,
yes.
You
should feel bad.
Yeah, and speaking as somebody who has a marginal interest in power metal, I've been pretty unexcited about power metal for several years now, and it's just like the big bands have just come and gone. Anger's, they haven't put out a good album in a few. Gamma Ray hasn't put out a good album in a few. But every now and then...
Gamma Ray is not even trying to play power metal anymore.
Right. So, but every now and then, like, a new power metal artist comes out and writes a really great album, like this Ghost Ship Octavius. Have you heard that?
Oh,
that
I
record?
haven't really listened to him, but here's the thing. The guy's a comparison guy, so his stuff's all over the comparison group.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I might have seen him here. I saw a dude with the Ghost Ship Octavius shirt, and he looked familiar, and I think it might be that dude from that band what he's in. But if I see him again, I'm especially at the party or whatever, I might just be like,
yeah,
you play comparison? Yeah, me too, buddy. It's cool.
Isn't it like a Lamb of God guy and Van Williams from Nevermore? And,
Well, Van Williams is in Ashes of Aries.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's also.
You're
in
right. No, you're right. He
GSO.
is. Yeah, you're right. He's on that too.
Yeah.
Right, because I couldn't quite tell if it was like, if it's like a project,
Yeah,
or
I
if it's
don't-
like a real band kind
I
of thing.
Don't even know.
But and I really wish I could think of the other dude's name right now. Because like I said, yeah, I've heard of them, and
Yeah.
I've
Well,
heard
I mean, the reason why I bring that up is just that if you can't distinguish yourself by like really good songwriting as a power metal
But
band,
here's
the only other thing to do is to put on funny makeup
But the other thing I
and
was gonna
wear
say is-
tire treads and stuff.
I didn't really think of Ghost Ship Octavius as power metal because they kind of, I'm trying to say, they fit into a newer scene, which is, and again, I haven't listened to them, so I don't know. Like, what are the vocals like? Because that's the main thing.
Well,
is
they're
like
clean.
Are they clean?
They're clean power metal vocals.
okay.
The music is a highly sort of moderately technical power metal. But some of the melodic passages are pretty sublime too.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably the best power metal record of the year.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely have to give it a listen. I've heard clips. I haven't listened to the actual album though. But yeah, it sounded really good. But it sounded good, so that I didn't think of it as power metal. It sounded in such a way that I was like,
it
this is pretty cool. It's definitely not
transcends
power metal.
It
Whereas,
can't possibly be power metal.
But then at the show tonight, I saw Alma and I saw Dragonland, and both times I went power metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know what to expect for the rest of the set now.
Yeah.
And which is why I was saying I was pondering it. I was like, Dragonland. I was like, they're doing pretty much the same kind of thing, but I was like, wait, but Dragonland has keyboards. Alma doesn't have keyboards. And I was like, oh yeah, but they're still doing the same thing. So I was like,
there wasn't a keyboardist on the stage, but but you know,
But
they
they
were
had,
playing to a backing track.
oh yeah, they had. I didn't. I guess I didn't notice, but yeah, exactly right. You probably have tracks if nothing else. But I think that's the interesting thing about power metal is if you have keyboards, it sounds like Dungeons and Dragons usually. But that's usually the choice of the keyboard sounds. Because again, the other issue with keyboards and metal is people don't try to come up with unique sounds. They're just like either programming the Dream Theater sounds or programming the power metal sounds and then use those sounds. But if you don't have keyboards in a power metal band, then I'm just like, where's the rest of the music? Because, which is one of my issues with Unleash the Archers, is they're a power metal band with no keyboards, but it almost sounds like there should be. And again, there probably is some like bed. Maybe although actually maybe, I don't think there is. I think because that's the thing. It sounds dry and like something's missing, and it's because normally at least power metal, the part of the reason I think that it can get so sing-songy, which is both inherently desirable in the genre and undesirable outside of it, is because the keyboards fill in the extra harmonic content that a power chord doesn't do, right? And so if you take away the keyboards, but you still keep playing just your like power chords and your root chugs, then there's less music, you know? And it's just, so.
Yeah, totally.
That's the problem with power metal. But yes, what you said is also how I feel about power metal, only to the point where I stopped listening to it.
I stopped listening to it for several years too. You know, and it was only I think last year that I started to notice these power metal bands that had actually put out like pretty decent records, and I hadn't really given them a chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start checking some of this stuff out because I gave up on power metal like 10 years ago. I mean, there's just really nothing interesting going on in power metal. At least there wasn't at the time.
Right, and there's this weird. It's like I feel like power metal has like walled itself off from some other types of metal.
So power metal is like thrash. It's kind of a highly structured genre.
Yeah.
Once you, like you're saying, GSO isn't power metal because they do all these other things. Well, you may be right about that, because once you stop doing the power metal stuff and start doing, you're no longer power metal.
Then you're proggy.
You're proggy. You've transcended
right.
a little.
But here's right, and that's the thing. The power metal bands I liked the most, which were the ones that people wanted to call like power prog or something, or
Evergrey.
Well, that's what people used to call like Symphony X, right?
Right, and that's the tricky thing, because again, I don't even want to call Evergrey power metal now, because they don't sound like all the other power. That's the problem with power metal, is like, to truly be power metal, you have to be uninteresting enough to be just power metal. And if you start to innovate or do something interesting, and that's the thing, you don't have to innovate that much to be like prog, right? Like Labyrinth, right? They really, it never hit actual progressive, but it was that same thing. Like, there was enough interesting going on, and they were just trying to write interesting riffs and not sticking just to the formula. There was enough of the formula there. Like, you knew it was power metal, but I don't know. They were just still trying to do more interesting things, and it didn't become full prog. It wasn't prog, right? It's not prog metal, but it's still way more interesting.
Right.
Whereas I do feel like Evergrey borders on prog, just because.
Yeah, they're definitely above that. Above that line.
Yeah,
they
do multiple concept albums. Like, there's enough other things. They don't need to be they don't need to play in 7/8 all the time to be progressive.
Well, I also feel like power metal nowadays means what we used to call Euro power metal like 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
Like, nobody, there used to be like this distinction between Euro power metal, which was like Stradivarius and Gamma Ray and whatnot, right? And then like American power metal, which was like Iced Earth and and so in that second part, the American power metal has kind of disappeared,
right? Or has moved into, which, like, what I think Ghost Ship to Octavius I think intends to be, is more like heavier, like modern, like the sort of new wave of American metal, like, Lamb of God kind of more thrash and death metal influences, but then, we'll sing melodically, right? And that's
actually a pretty decent description.
Yeah.
For not really having heard it, that's.
Well, I've heard. I have heard some, but I just can't think of like the vocals and stuff.
Right.
And it might be because a lot of what I heard might have been before it was like done, because they posted previews and stuff. They even did a video where the dude, they gave him some of the new C2 like affordable line of comparisons, and they sent him some, and he like used them on the album, and they gave away one that he used on the album as like a promotion and stuff like that. But and that guy, he posts on there a lot, and he's heavily involved in their stuff now. But I just hadn't actually gotten around to sitting down and like listening to the album, which I have meant to, and everything I've heard has sounded pretty good. So, and some of the other new comparison dudes who I am not familiar with, when I have listened to their bands, it's in that area, and it's not quite power metal, or at least they wouldn't probably want you to call it that. but it's still, there's still more, like, that's the part of it, is that you almost need somebody at some point to show up and go just so that everyone knows you're not a power metal band. You know what I mean? Like, if you sing cleanly, you got to be,
well, then by that definition, Alma doesn't qualify as a power metal band,
but that's
several songs.
Well, but that's what it's even power metal bands are starting to do that now, right? Like Unleash the Archers has some of that. Amaranth is the best example. Just like, we just have some douchebag growl a bunch, and that'll make it way heavier and cooler. And it's like, it sounds so weird when you're listening to this pop song. It's like, and it has to match that pop rhythm, right? And I don't know what any words he's ever said are, so yeah. So
maybe
Amaranth.
we should close the show on that. Sorry.
And stay tuned for our future Amaranth episode. That's going to happen eventually, and I'm sure it'll be great. But we could end it here if you want.
No, I mean, I was just joking.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we started out by talking about ProgPower 2 and then drifted off into
right, which is what always happens. Right, the only way we actually ever stick to a plan is if we actually do make like outline or at least like notes of the. But I prefer it's better this way.
Yeah,
this is what podcasts
fun,
are like.
right?
You know, all the my reference is always like, well, Joe Rogan doesn't ever, you know what I mean? Like if Joe Rogan can get away with it, then, it doesn't require more thought than that, I guess. But
well, I mean, we didn't talk about last night's show. Like, so we talked about tonight's,
but we
really never covered Evergrey, Voyager, Ashes of Ares.
That's true. Okay,
And
I came in for Ashes of Ares. Wasn't there another band, or was Ashes of Ares the first
Halcyon
band?
Way.
Oh yeah,
Local band.
Maybe I shouldn't talk about Halcyon Way. Or I could just say what I said before, which is that Halcyon Way is that band that I've seen them open like New York shows too. Like they've gotten like the opener slot, which is when a local band's like tagged on or whatever, on a lot of stuff. And I'm always like, who are those guys again? Have I heard them? I'm not sure. Oh, let me make sure I get there. And then as soon as I get there, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've heard these guys. All right. Well, let me know when the next band is on.
Right.
So.
Well, there was like that one band that was doing the pirate thing for several years. They were touring all the time.
Oh, Blackguard.
Yeah. They were opening every tour.
Yeah.
So for like a year, I saw them on like 4 tours.
Did ProgPower make that happen? Because I swear, they did that at ProgPower one year, and everyone was like, who are these guys? Because they were like... They weren't like in the power metal scene, even though as like a piratey metal band, they could fit. Right. But you could tell that they weren't like... Right, they weren't like part of the whole like Gamma Rays Are Heroes crew, but it was good. It was good, and they filled in at the last minute for somebody, and people were like, I remember people ahead of time being like, I don't know what this crap's gonna be, but then people were like, oh shit, what the hell?
People were actually really unhappy that they were added to the bill.
And then for 2 years after that, they were on every power metal tour. They were just like, ooh, maybe they were like, this is how we're gonna do it, guys. We found our way in, and so they just started calling up power metal bands, being like, "Yo, we saw you got a tour coming up. Turns out your fans like us. Can we be on your tour?"
Yeah, another band that's like Halcyon Way for me is the Agonist, which you covered in Heavy Montreal.
Yes.
I am positive I've seen them at least 3 times, but
did you see them with the old singer? Did you see them with Alyssa before she was an arch enemy?
I can't say which tours I saw them on. Like maybe one of them was Atheist or something. But this is going back several years. So this is before the singer changed because she moved to
That's probably how
Enemy, right?
Yeah, that's probably how she got it because they were on all those tours, and they were really good. And then she left, and it was like, oh, was that why that band was good? I think that was why that band was good.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, they're all right. They do need another vocalist, though. The new one is not so good. Though I do appreciate seeing them because she was the one who was like, start a circle pit around that tree.
And they did.
And they did. It was terrific.
So then there was Ashes of Ares. I really have nothing to say about Ashes of Ares.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I basically...
That's what Matt Barlow says. No, Matt Barlow's a great singer. I really like him, but I like him better in Iced Earth. Somebody needs to write songs.
I don't know. I feel like the sound is very similar to Iced Earth, but the songwriting isn't there.
Right. So the bass player, I can't remember her name right now. The bass player, he's a guitar player in Ashes of Ares, but he was a bass player in Iced Earth, and that's how they got started. And then they also recruited the other guitar. They recruited the other guitar player later, but the bass player for Iced Earth and Matt Barlow, he became a guitar player. He wrote the songs. It's kind of like his band, him and Barlow. And then they got Van Williams on drums. And that was the other thing. I was like, is Van bored? Because he should be. Because he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's playing like kind of stuff. And I was just like, Van, like, because you can play in like or again, maybe it would be more out of place if he was like overplaying fills all the time and like syncopating the crap out of stuff that's really straightforward. But still, I was like, he used to be in Nevermore, right? Like, damn. But
well, if he is in GSO, which I'm pretty sure he is, he's got his
that's
work
true.
cut out for him.
Right,
there,
and that's where he's probably getting his kicks more, because I really do need to listen to Ghost Ship
But
Octavius.
I have a hard time believing that Ashes of Ares is his bread and butter.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't think it's
that's
anybody's
not exactly.
bread and butter.
Yeah, it's not exactly Iced Earth.
It's like my feeling is the day that Loomis's Archenemy gig ends is the day there's going to be a big Nevermore reunion, and unless Ghost Ship Octavius does really well, maybe, I don't know, but I feel like
I think they're more of a boutique band than like general.
Yeah, well, it's
appeal.
new though. It's new too. I think it's like this is their first. Isn't this like their first album, right?
Yeah,
just. And it's a bunch of dudes who are in other bands and stuff, and then they for a new thing, and it's cool. And then, but yeah, the thing with Ashes of Ares is it always sounds good, but I'm like, they need like a songwriter or something in there.
Yeah, they do. That's that right there is the problem with power metal.
It's a problem I have with a lot of music. I see a lot of cases where I really like Elise from Amaranth. Just not in Amaranth.
Yeah, I mean she's a really good vocalist, right? But like she needs a better band.
Is she in anything else, or is that it?
Well, okay, so she was. I first heard her because she was doing Camelot stuff, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then she's been on, like, she's done guest appearances on a bunch of stuff, and she did that Timo Tolkki album, like Timo Tolkki's Avalon or whatever.
Oh, okay, so not the terrible one.
Well, I wouldn't say it was great, but I mean, I don't know. I only heard the one song because there's a video, and it's a video with Elise and Timo Tolkki, and they're just like in like a big like one of those apartments that purely somebody owns to rent out for people to shoot videos in, like huge glass windows and like a big spiral staircase. I think
no one could ever possibly live here.
Everything is super white and like overlit, and it's like whatever. But it doesn't. Nothing happens. Like there's no theme. It's just that's where they are, and they cut back and forth between Timo and her. And it wasn't an amazing song or anything. It was the same thing though. That's my point. So it was a recurring theme of like somebody who I would like, but I've yet to hear her in a thing where somebody wrote something good for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my recurring problem.
I definitely
music.
wouldn't be looking to Timo Tolkki for that.
No, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, especially with singers, I hear a lot of singers, because that's one thing where you can really, if you're a really good singer, you can do bad stuff and people can still tell you're a good singer,
Well, no, and eventually you get better gigs.
Right.
I mean, you find a band that is more of your caliber.
Theoretically or hypothetically.
Well, I mean, she's still young. She's got time.
Right, but I've seen it not happen. I mean, I don't have like a top 10 list of like favorite people with like wasted potential or anything, but like when they come up, I know who they are. But yeah, no, she should do so. Well, and that was always my thing, is like I was always like, I should just like write something and then just be like, hey, you should sing this. It's a good song. It's better than all the other shit you did. Check this out.
Yeah,
so one of these
days, that
works
out for
at some point that'll be like when I run out of other like weird ideas for stuff to do, I'll just do a like find people who need someone to write better shit for them project. I'll call it like giving back to the metal community. No, it's like pro bono work, but with the idea that it would hopefully make money because it would be good music. But
well, then it wouldn't be.
No, it wouldn't
by
be
definition pro bono work.
No, I need like my. I don't want to say charity work.
I think they call it songwriting.
Yeah.
Right, but what is it? What is it called when you? I don't know.
Being someone's bitch. I have no idea.
No, but
who's that guy that writes all the pop songs?
Oh, you mean the Great Satan, Max Martin?
Yeah. So you could be that for metal.
No, but right. No, and that would be all right. That would maybe that's what power metal needs. Once I do my homophony album and nobody gets that it's a joke, then we'll see what happens. Well, it's not a joke, but it's inherently satirical. Which actually no, we'll talk about that off podcast. I have some interesting thoughts about that.
That should not be put down on tape. That should not be
publicly recorded yet.
Okay, so cool. I want to, regarding the Voyager set.
Yes.
I want to get your point of view on this.
Okay.
But how wrong was it that they that the fans chose I am the Revolution
Well,
versus
I
Universe?
went to get food, so that should tell you something.
Oh,
towards the end, though. Okay, here's the thing. I saw them last week. I saw Evergreen and Voyager in New York.
Yeah.
They both were super kick-ass. Evergreen and Voyager are two of the very, very few bands who are not like fully progressive and like super out there. Like they're not Pain and Salvation or Leprous, but they're good. They're consistently good live, and they don't sound like other people, and they have something unique and interesting about them, and that's really all I want from any band. So Voyager's but I don't listen to Voyager a whole lot, and because their songs are kind of hit or miss for me. And the funny thing is, I've kind of ended up settling on Universe as my favorite because because you said that, and I was like, the older one, I don't know if I ever listened to that much. I mean, I do like that song Sober, but now it's Sober. Pulso 4 is on there,
right?
And then
Cross the Line,
yeah. Right?
Those three songs are
all fantastic songs.
In the middle of the album. Ding, bing, bing.
They also really, you know what I think it partially is also is that album really had the balance of like, it almost sounds like Aha started a metal band, you know, like, and then and I think it's, as the production has gotten more and more metal and more like probably higher budget, which also weirdly means more probably overly modern in terms of the way it is produced at times, the metal starts to take over, you know, and push out the like
the Depeche Mode
stuff. Yeah. But there's still some of it, and I haven't listened to the new one a whole lot. But yeah, I Am the Revolution. I really like Lost, but as an album, it didn't. That was what I tried. I tried to listen to I Am the Revolution when I was first getting into them, and instead I switched to Universe. Yeah. That's what happened. And
so inherently better.
So I agree with you, and right. So I was there for a lot of it, but there was a certain point where I was just trying to logistically figure out how and when I was going to eat. So I was, and I wanted to see Evergrey. Also, so I was like, well, if I miss the last song or two of this album, I won't mind, and I can get food. Actually, I made it back before they even finished.
Oh, okay.
So it worked fine. But it's not.
I was disappointed to hear that the fans had voted for I Am the Revolution as the album to be played. And the funny thing is, we were standing right next to Simone at the bar before Barlow's band went on, and I asked her. I said, "Any chance you could just mutiny and play Universe instead?" And she said that she was surprised that we'd all picked I Am the Revolution. That she thought for sure it would be The Meaning of I.
Oh. Which also would have been better than
the
Revolution.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And she was fine with playing I Am the Revolution, but she was surprised that it wasn't The Meaning of I. And the way I feel about the way I feel about I Am the Revolution and the most recent one, V, is it's perfectly fine songwriting. When I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this sounds pretty good, but I can't remember anything when I step away from it. Nothing sticks.
Yeah, it doesn't stick.
Yeah. So, but The Meaning of I has a couple really great songs on it, and of course, you already mentioned the songs on Universe, so either one of those would have been better choices in my opinion, but you gotta go with what the fans want. Hopefully they were at least smart enough to pick the right songs for the fans pick the set list on tomorrow night's show.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And we don't have to listen to 5 or 6 songs from I Am the Revolution again.
I feel like there's no way we're not going to at least get 1 or 2 of those 3 songs we mentioned, because I feel like everyone, I feel like I've heard them play all of them. I know.
Okay, well they played Pulso 4 when they played 4 years ago.
Yeah, and they definitely played Sober. And I've heard them play Cross the Line, although I don't know if they specifically played it that way.
I've never heard them play Cross the Line.
But they're one of those bands I've seen a few times now, and so I can't and I always enjoy them. So it's like Evergrey, right? I can't pinpoint which show I heard which song in Evergrey or whatever in the past. But they're great, and they're totally one of those bands that anytime they want to book them for ProgPower, I will not complain, and I will watch them.
Well, at their previous performance, they did this pretty ripping 80s medley, too.
So they did that in New York.
Okay, good.
Which we had forgotten about, and then as they did it, Rich and I were like, oh yeah, this is a thing they do.
Yeah.
And what was the one? But they did the Backstreet's Back. Was the song where I was not okay with them putting that in the medley. I was like, no. But Yeah, but they did that in New York too. But yeah, so like that was the other thing. I was like, I'm gonna see them again to Friday, so I'll miss a couple songs and get food, and I don't even know what songs I missed because it was on.
It's not an album either of us listens to.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And then Evergrey was pretty close to the New York set, although they did add Mark of the Triangle.
Right.
And which no, the whole
Kelly's
thing in
doing
New
the
York
happy
was
dance.
we were just like Rich at one point. Rich really loudly yelled, "I am the Mark of the Triangle," and I think a bunch of people heard and were like, but they didn't do it. They did.
Sarah showed us the set list, and it was like the same, except for that one. Plus the particular Monday Morning Apocalypse song was different.
Yeah,
they played last night. They played Obedience, and I think at your show they played Monday Morning Apocalypse. Right?
Yeah.
Something like
I forget
that.
which. It was like, oh, this is the Monday Morning Apocalypse. But yeah, no, it's a great set list. It was very much like almost retrospective. A little bit of,
I thought it was great. I wish that there were more aliens. Honestly, I really love The Shocking Truth.
Yeah,
and I was disappointed that he didn't play.
Oh yeah, that's
a lot of people got bored with Tom's like stupid sci-fi shit, but I actually really like it. Like that's the first 3 albums.
Better that than child abuse.
Yeah, well, there's only so much of that I can take, right? I mean, you start getting into wrist-slitting territory there, right?
Yeah,
it's
all pretty much
Evergrey,
wrist-slitting. The alien stuff, that's not wrist-slitting territory unless you actually have abduction memories.
Yeah.
I feel very sorry for those people.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm trying to remember, does it end up actually being aliens? Or is one of those things where it turns out to be like the government or something? I forget the actual story of the album. I think there is supposed to be some sort of a twist or thing.
Yeah, I think I found out only a couple of years ago that it was actually supposed to be a concept album. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Watching the Skies.
Yeah.
Master Planets.
And Dark Waters.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah, it is a great song. My favorite song on that disc.
But we had the day they did a recreation day last night, powered, and they did it again today.
Oh yeah,
acoustic.
They did the acoustic one.
Yeah,
oh nice.
And unlike last night, we didn't all sing along at full volume while they were playing it because it would have drowned everybody else out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I started singing some of the lines, and by sing, I'm using air quotes because I can't sing. And some guy turned around and gave me a stink eye, so I stopped.
Yeah,
give him a stink eye right back.
Yeah, and they
don't tell me how to rock.
In the set this afternoon, they closed on Wasted Years. They're like,
really?
Tom goes, I don't want you all to go back to your basements and kill yourselves, so we're going to end on a high note.
That's a great thing to say.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. They were really good. Yeah. The other thing with the acoustic shows, and part of why I gave up on them, is they're always so early. And so.
Yeah, you got to roll out of bed pretty early for most of them.
A lot of the times when it comes down to sleep versus acoustic show,